For the outer square of this flower square, of that 70s square, we are using our third color. What we're going to do is flip this sucker over so we're on the back of our that 70s flower. And you see how on the back at the top, on the very top set of the chain twos, we have these two back loops, these two vertical loops here, here, here. We made sure when we wove in the ends we didn't mess them up, right? Okay, so we're going to go underneath both of those. Just choose a set of two and go underneath them. I always like to make sure when I do this I'm not starting and stopping at the same point that I started and stopped somewhere else, so that it really varies the where the ends are woven in, so I don't get like big chunky sections in my crochet. All right, and now you need to make yourself a slip knot or just a crossed loop. I'm very sparse with my slip knots. I don't like knots. All right, and just pull that through, and you're going to make a slip stitch. So just yarn over, pull through. So you've basically just made a chain or a slip stitch around one of those sets of two. Okay. Now this is a super easy. It sounds complicated, but when you see what you're doing, it is so simple. You are going to now chain 15. All right, 15. Now you're going to skip one of these little stripy sections and go on to the next one and slip stitch around these two little back loops. Okay, one, or bottom loops or unworked loops, whatever you want to call them. Two, we went under two of them and slip stitch. Okay, now we're going to chain 15. I'm going to skip one of those again, go to the next one, and slip stitch under the next set of the backs of these chains. Keep going. Skip one, slip stitch under the next set, chain 15, and we're back to the beginning. Okay, I'm going to kind of pull that end down. We're going to slip stitch around all of this, and that is round one of our outer square. For round two of our outer square, we're not going to turn right away. First, we're going to slip stitch into this chain 15 space. Then we're going to turn, and we're going to make a double chain 2 into the same space, okay, into the same chain 15 space. So here I had slip stitched into it. When I turned, then you can see everything gets a little funky here. Just go ahead and insert your hook under the chain 15 space that you were working on, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then finish off your double chain 2. And don't worry if it's a little messy or whatever. None of this is really going to be seen. It's all fine. Now you're chaining 2. Now on your next set of 15 chain, you're going to double chain 3. I'm sorry, double crochet 3. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and then double crochet 3 again, chain 1. You're going to keep doing that. You'll end up with 5 sets of 3 double crochet, each with a chain 1 in the middle, and then we'll chain 2 and keep going around. I'll show you that, but I want to show you a little something that I actually have been doing on these squares. It's a little different than what I initially wrote. And what I'm doing is, because there are 15 chains here and 5 sets of 3 double crochet is also 15, I've actually been putting each one of these double crochet into the bottom bumps of one of these 15 chains. So I have my double chain 2 and my chain 1, and now I'm going to put a double crochet into the bottom bump of the next chain. The first one might be a little difficult, but the rest of them will be a lot easier. So bottom bump, like I said, the first one's going to prove me right here. Okay, and double crochet. Okay, and so you can see these are the bottom bumps. Okay, here on the tops we have these little like little loopy chain bits, right? And then on the bottom we have these little bumps. So I'm going to go into just the bottom bump and make my next double crochet. That's 2. And then go into the next bottom bump, make my double crochet. That's 3. And then chain 1. I'm going to keep going until I have 5 sets of the 3 double crochet. Then I'll get to a corner. So I finished my last set of 3 double crochets. You can see I have 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double, chain 1, 3 double, chain 1, 3 double, chain 1, 3 double. Now I'm at the corner and I'm just going to chain 2. Okay, and then we're going to repeat that all the way around. So we will have on each of these chain sections, we'll have 5 sets of 3 double crochet with a chain 1 in the middle. And then on the corners, we'll have a chain 2. We'll do that all the way around. And when we get to the last one, the very last double crochet is already here. So we'll have 4 sets of 3 double crochet with the chain 1 in the middle. And then we'll do 2 more double crochet and the third one is already here. So we're going to do that and get all the way back around. Okay, I've got my last set of 3 double crochet where I actually only made the 2 because the third one is actually the very first double chain 2 of this round. Now I am slip stitching into the top of the double chain 2. There we go. And that is the end of round 2 of my outer square. For round 3 of our outer square, we slip stitch into the chain 2 corner space, and then we're going to make a double chain 2, chain 2, and then 3 double crochet into the same chain 2 corner space. Okay, and now we're basically working this around like a granny square. So we're going to chain 1 and then 3 double crochet into the next chain 1 space. We're going to do that across until we get to the next chain 2 corner. I've made it to my chain 2 corner. I have my chain 1 over here, and now I'm going to put 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet all into the chain 2 corner. And I'm going to continue this all the way around. So in the corners there's 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, and then after the corner you do chain 1, 3 double crochet into the next chain 1 space, chain 1, 3 double crochet into the next chain 1 space, all the way till you get to the corner. Make sure there's the chain 1 both before and after the corner there. Okay, and then 3 double crochet into the next chain 1 space, chain 1. All right, you're going to do that all the way around, and then I will meet you when we get all the way around back to the first corner. All right, I've gotten back to my last corner, and I'm just going to put in 2 more double crochets because what I have right now is essentially a double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, and I need that 1 double crochet to be 3. So I'm putting in the first 2, and now we have our 3, chain 2, 3. And I'm going to slip stitch to the top of my starting double chain 2, and that is the end of round 3 of our outer square. Round 4 of the outer square is fun. It's where we get to connect the points of our flower so that it all lays flat and, you know, just looks pretty. So first we're going to slip stitch into the chain 2 space and make a double chain 2, then chain 2, and then 3 double crochet all into this first chain 2 space. Now each side is going to be the same, so after we've done the corner, we're going to chain 1 and then 3 double crochet into the next stitch, into the next chain 1 space, and then chain 1. And now we're going to take this flower petal top here and we're going to slip stitch into the center of these 11 trebles so that it should be the 6th one. So what I like to do is I count 2, 4, 6, and I insert my hook in there, but then before I finish the stitch, I also make sure that this is stitch number 6 from the other side. 2, 4, 6. It is. Good. So I really am in the middle. And so then I just yarn over and pull through everything, and that's a slip stitch. Okay, and now, since we already did the chain 1 there, we are going to make 3 double crochet into the next chain 1 space. Chain 1, 3 double crochet into the next chain 1 space. Chain 1, 3 double crochet into the next chain 1 space. Now we do not do the chain 1s here. First, we slip stitch into the center of this little fan. So I'm going to count 2, 4, 6 of these yellows. 2, 4, 6. Good. Yarn over, pull through everything. Now do my chain 1. Okay, now 3 double crochet into the next chain 1 space. Chain 1, and then 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet into this chain 2 corner. We're going to do this all the way around. Here we are back at the beginning, and we're going to place those last 2 double crochet into this corner. And slip stitch to the top of the starting double chain 2. So that is the end of round 4. Rounds 5 and 6 of your outer square are the same. So let's go ahead and do round 5, and then you'll just repeat it for round 6. So for round 5, we're going to slip stitch into that chain 2 space, then make a doubled chain. Okay. Chain 2. And 3 double crochet into the chain 2 space. And really this is the same as round 4, only you're not doing the slip stitches. That's all. You're just continuing your granny square. Okay, so we have these 3 double crochet. We're going to chain 1, 3 double crochet into the next stitch. Into the next chain 1 space, sorry. Chain 1. Now we do 3 double crochet in the next chain 1 space. And remember the chain 1 space, we want to put these 3 double crochet in the chain 1 space, not after, not like in the slip stitch. So the chain 1 spaces are on the sides where the corners are. So we're doing our 3 double crochet in the chain 1 spaces. Okay. Then chain 1, 3 double crochet into the next chain 1 space. Chain 1, 3 double crochet into the next chain 1 space. Chain 1. Okay, so again, we're going to put 3 double crochet into the next chain 1 space. The chain 1 space is on the side closer to the corner. So that's where we put our 3 double crochet. Chain 1, 3 double crochet in the next chain 1 space. Chain 1, and then we have the corner where we'll do 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, but I just want you to look at this here for a minute, and you can see that these 2 sets of 3 double crochets are kind of inside this flower, this set of flower petals. These 2 sets of 3 double crochet are outside of them. Okay, so our 3 double crochets will be closer to the corners, just like they are, just like the chain 1s were. Okay, and then there's only these 2 that are kind of in between here. And now when we get to the corner, we're going to do 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. We're going to repeat this all the way around, and I will meet you when we get to the end of round 5. Okay, we've made it all the way around. We're putting in those last 2 double crochet over here. Then we are going to slip stitch to the top of the beginning double chain 2. Okay, and now we have our little square, okay, all the way through round 5. And go ahead and give it a little measure. You really want to measure right where these little connectors are, is where you want to measure. So when I measure where my connectors are, I'm at 10 inches. Okay, maybe like 10 1/8, that's fine. And we'll measure the other way where the connectors are, just about just a little over 10 inches where the connectors are, just a little over 10 inches, we're fine. If you get up to 10.5 inches where the little connecting points are, that's when you want to think about maybe not doing round 6, okay? The reason why we are measuring where things are connected here is because it's really easy to pull this part, because if you look on the back, you can see it's not connected right here, okay? So this is kind of easily adjustable here when we when you block it, but it'll be a lot easier to get that middle part to be where you want it to be, and then to get the edges to be where you want them to be. The point where, the corners, I mean, the point where the measurement is the most important is where it's actually connected, here and here and here and here. So those are the sections where you want to measure to see if you're at much bigger than 10. If you're at like 10.5 or any higher than that, or even almost 10.5, that's when you want to go ahead and maybe skip round 6. But now you're going to do round 6. It's the same as round 5. You just don't have to worry about the connection areas. So I will meet you back here when we finish round 6. We'll do our little fastening off and weaving in the ends, and then we will move on to the last 2 rounds, which are the border. Here we are at the end of round 6, and now we're just going to weave in this end. Okay, so we're going to go under the, we're actually going to go ahead and we're going to duplicate the top loop of this double chain 2. So we're actually going to go underneath the first chain. Okay, and now we're going back down through my last double crochet 2, and you can see this is now taking place of the top loop of that double chain 2. Okay, so there you go, and then we're going to go down through all of this double chain 2 and through some of this the bottoms of these stitches, just to give myself more to weave into. And you can see you don't want to pull it so tight, you don't want to pull it too tight, so just a nice little pretty edge here that you can work your next row into, your next round into. Now I'm going to go back the other direction. There we go, and find, here we are, the other end. Put that on my needle, and I'm just going to actually kind of sew this up so that I have a whole nice set of loops to weave it in under here. Okay, so going underneath all of those, and then turn and weave it back through the other direction. And we are good to go. Put that down, grab my scissors, and give those a clip. Here we have the end of round 6. Okay, we are nice and square and looking good. Rounds 7 and 8 are once again in our first color. So choose a corner, any corner, and that's where we're going to start. You can just get a slip knot or a little crossed loop onto your hook. And what we're going to do is start by making a standing single crochet into this chain 2 corner. So just go ahead, you've got the loop on your hook, insert your hook into the chain 2 space, yarn over, pull up a loop. There's 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both stitches, both loops, and you have a single crochet. Now we're going to chain 2, make a single crochet into that same chain 2 space, and now we're just going to put a single crochet into every single double crochet. So we're going to single crochet into each of the next 3 double crochet, and then also in every chain 1 space. So we're going to single crochet around that chain 1 space, and do that all the way across till you get to the next chain 2 corner. When you get to your chain 2 corners, you're going to single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the chain 2 corner. We're going to do that all the way around. So I will meet you when we get back to the beginning. Okay, now we've gotten to this chain 2 space, and I already have my first single crochet here. So I'm just going to slip stitch into the top of the first single crochet. Maybe. There we go. All right. And that is the end of round 7. Round 8, and then if you want to keep going beyond round 8, if you need to make your square bigger, we're going to slip stitch into the chain 2 space, and then I'm going to chain 3. This first chain just doesn't count as anything, it's just lifting, and then we're doing 2 more chains, okay? And now we're going to put a single crochet into this chain 2 space. We're going to single crochet into each stitch, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the chain 2 corner space, and so on all the way around. So go ahead, do that, and meet me at the end of round 8. I just made my last single crochet on this side, and now I have to put my last single crochet into this first chain 2 space that I walked into, because remember we just started with 3 chains, so that first chain didn't count as a stitch. So I just did my last single crochet, I placed it into that chain 2 space. Now you can slip stitch around that space. You can slip stitch around the initial chain 3 that we made, or you can just cut the yarn, pull that end out, and then I'm just going to thread that up. Okay, and here is one chain, here is a second chain, and the first chain we've covered up. I'm going to duplicate the middle chain, so we're going to leave this chain that's right next to the first side that we made. We're going to go ahead and slide our yarn through that chain, okay, because we're duplicating the chain next to it. And then we're going to go back through our single crochet. Okay, so there you go. You can see we've duplicated that chain. And now all I'm going to do is kind of catch the edge of this beginning chain 3 and go underneath all of these stitches. And then turn and weave back in the other way. Then I need to collect this end, get it on my needle, and this is plenty bulky enough in this corner, so we want to weave the other direction. So I'm just going to kind of come up and weave in where the last 2 rows overlap, the last 2 rounds. So where round 7 is worked into, I'm sorry, where round 8 is worked into round 7 is where I'm weaving in. Okay, and then turn and go back. Remember when you turn and go back to make sure you don't turn and go back in the exact same hole, or else you might unweave. So you see how I always catch a little bit of extra yarn in between where I came out and where I go back in again. All right, and then clip my ends. And there we have our square. Okay, and remember that because of the way this works, because of the way this is made, it's really easy to pull the middle really wide, all right? So you might want to block it, and when you're measuring for size, measure where these connectors are, here and here, okay, and here, because that's going to give you a more true measurement. And I am getting exactly 12 inches, okay? Okay, so there you go, that 70s square.